All right, first up, let's go ahead and look at this article here from CBS News. We're going to get into probably the hottest topic right now in the election, which is the economy. I mean, we've got other stuff with the wars that we're kind of sort of involved in, not really. Border security, which I'm sure we'll get into more of that later. Abortion is, we discussed that last week, I think it was. And this week we're going to talk about the economy a little bit. Obviously, it's a huge focus for a lot of people. The Democrats seem to try to downplay the focus on it. I wonder why. But it is a big focus. If you go out and talk to people in the streets, they're going to tell you that's a main priority. So right here we got CBS News. It says voters in battleground states say the economy is a top issue. I think most people are going to say that. We'll skim through this real quick. It says voters' impressions of how good each presidential candidate is for the economy could determine the outcome of the 2024 presidential election. In Michigan, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin, where President Joe Biden and former President Donald Trump are engaged in close contests, most voters said the economy will be a major factor in deciding whom they will cast their ballot for. Results from a CBS News and YouGov poll show. In Michigan, 80% of voters say the economy is a top issue for them. 80%, wow. Followed by 77% of voters who say inflation is. Of course, that's another kind of hand-in-hand conversation, in my opinion, and we'll go over a little bit of both of those in this segment here. It says 72% of voters rank the state of democracy as one of the issues that matter most to them. Biden currently has a narrow lead over Trump in the state, according to that poll. In both Pennsylvania and Washington, 80% of voters similarly rank the economy as one of the topics they care most about this election, another 80%. Other lower ranked topics include candidate stance on gun policy, crime, the U.S.-Mexico border, and abortion, like we were saying a minute ago. It's so evident that the economy remains a central issue, but how people interpret the economy. Now, I want you to pay attention here at the spin that we're going to see from some folks. Don't believe your lying eyes. That's the message. Believe the mainstream media, believe, figureheads of political parties or celebrities or whatever. Don't believe your lying eyes. Now, keep this in mind. It's how we interpret the economy, okay? But how people interpret the economy, the issues they want addressed to deal with their own economic situation, that's a complicated question with a complicated answer, said CBS News chief election and campaign correspondent Bob Costa. About 6 in 10 polled by CBS News said they rated the economy as fairly bad or very bad, despite economic measures such as low unemployment, growing wages, and resilient stock market, which point to a strong economy. I'm going to stop there for just a second. Growing wages is inaccurate, okay? Rising, resilient stock market, I think, right. Maybe that doesn't directly impact anyone's financial situation. Maybe 401ks, which are great. I'm happy to see my 401k get bigger. That's great. But it doesn't directly impact most Americans, right? Most of us aren't heavily involved in the stock market, nor do we benefit directly from it. Indirectly, like I say, from like 401k, or maybe we own a little stock that we bought a little while back. Maybe, I don't know. Low unemployment rate, that's questionable. Unemployment is down for sure, but one of their metrics of measure is job growth, and we'll talk about that in a little bit here too. But right now, because of the economy the way it is, many people are taking additional jobs. Now, the way you measure unemployment and job growth are two different ways. So there was a time where they said that, unemployment was low because people have more jobs. That's not the way that works. But while unemployment is low, in this case, more people do have more jobs. That's a statistical fact because it is taking more to survive in this economy. I think it was AOC tried to say that and completely discredit the numbers under Trump's administration, which was proven false in like a heartbeat. All you had to do is simple math to figure that out. In this case, it is both true. Yes, unemployment is down, but more people are working more jobs than ever before, trying to make an additional income to make ends meet. And what was the other thing here? Growing wages. Growing wages, that is not necessarily true. When you look at a chart of wages, right? I know people that are getting maybe a 10-cent raise from one year to the other, or a 5-cent raise from one year or another. But then you've got like people that work in Silicon Valley, or people that are multimillionaires or billionaires, and you see the rate at which they increase their pay, their wages, right? That overall bumps the average up significantly. So if you look at the average wages, maybe it does go up, But if you look at like median or however you want to measure it to see what the actual wages increase is, it's not there. It's not anything close to what inflation is. I'll be happy to do a deeper dive in that if you would like me to. Let me know in the comments below. But just as a kind of a vague callback to this right here, a little rebuttal to this, it's not accurate. It's not accurate at all, and it's a talking point that they're pushing. Continuing on, it says, this could pose a challenge for Democrats who, Costa said, are eager to get that labor voter, the union member, to vote Democratic and pull ahead of Trump. They know that those working voters at times hear the call of the Trump campaign and his message on immigration, and it can be appealing to those voters. And so that's why Democrats are really trying to focus on the economy by focusing on labor. I think that's it there. Yep. Yeah. So again, focusing on the economy. Democrats are focusing on the economy. How are they focusing on the economy? Well, as we see here in USA Today, it says as Biden abandons Bidenomics, Harris makes a different case before black voters. Okay, you see the emphasis here. Kamala Harris is going to target black voters. Keep that in mind for just a little bit later on when someone else targets another demographic and they're like, oh no, this is terrible. You got to understand these political parties do target the demographics. Kamala Harris is, a woman of color. I don't know if you can say black, given her ethnic makeup. I know it's often applied to her in that way, but if you actually look at her ethnic makeup, maybe she is, maybe she isn't. Depends on what you consider what. But she's going after the black voters, of course, because they need them. And this is one of the first times that Democrats have really hurt for the black voters at the rate that they are right now. They are losing them at a higher rate than I've ever seen them lose it before. But we'll go on here. I don't know if we're going to read the whole thing. Probably just skim through this a little bit too. But let's see. This is USA Today. I already read that. Let's go on down here. Atlanta, in my state. Whew. It almost feels like a completely different state, though. Atlanta. I don't know. It's its own thing. It needs to be its own little island somewhere. It says Vice President Kamala Harris is shaking up her approach to the black community and making the economy the focal point of a multi-state tour that she kicked off on Monday in Georgia. Now, remember, Biden's moving away from Bidenomics because it's not working for him. Here's Kamala. If you don't say it right, it's racist. That's what I said. But Kamala's going to talk about the economy here. And she's going to, of course, go after the black voter and talk about the economy. Let's see what she has to say about our wonderful economy under Joe Biden. It says Harris came to the battleground state to make an urgent case to voters who delivered a surprise victory for President Joe Biden that he'll ease their everyday cost if he wins re-election. Why then? Why not now? It's part of a concerted effort by the White House to win back disappointed Americans by putting kitchen table issues at the front of the president's agenda. During much of last year, Biden campaigned on a slogan of Bidenomics, touting wins such as historic investments in infrastructure, manufacturing, and the middle class. But Biden struggled to convince voters they were experiencing a post-pandemic economic revival, as the cost of food, housing, and other services have remained high, even after inflation has decreased from its peak. It says during her visit, the vice president focused on lowering housing costs, decreasing debt, and increasing wealth for black communities. I understand that she's targeting the black community and that's what she's got to go for. I absolutely hate the divisiveness of stuff like that. Like, oh, we're going to lower this in the black communities. Well, why not just all communities? We're going to target Latinos and make sure that we offer everyone that. See, it's this whole equity thing or this whole I got to pitch to this, these different groups kind of thing that just drives me nuts. Like, we're supposed to be one nation under God, all created equal in the eyes of God. Liberty and justice for all. I mean, all on the same plane. So when you single out communities like that, I hate it. I know it's a political move. I know it's what they've always done. I know it's what they're always going to do. Not the biggest fan. Hate it. Whatever. But it says everybody wants a job, and President Joe Biden and I are very proud that in our administration we have brought black unemployment down to historic lows, Harris said. But that's a baseline. You know who just got shut down recently when mentioning job growth under Biden versus Trump?
And we have to address those concerns. And Joe Biden is doing that, created 9 million jobs in his term in office. Donald Trump has the worst record of job loss of any president. So we just have to make sure people know.
That was a global pandemic.
He had the worst record of any president. We've had other concerns in our country. If you want to be an apologist for Donald Trump, that may be your role, but it ain't mine. And he has the worst.
I don't think that anybody can accuse me of that.
No, but let me just say, as a Speaker of the House, we put forth a $3 trillion bill. $3 trillion of investment in communities and the rest, and that stimulates the economy.
I just want to ask.
I hate that woman. I hate that woman. You know what other one I hate? This one. Let's get back to the story. Good old Kamala. But to be fair, back to Nancy's point, they've invested a lot of money, trillions of dollars into our economy, and our economy is still tanking. So they've used the excuse of spending more of our tax dollars to improve the infrastructure, the economy, the whatever, and that's been improved. So what does that tell you? They don't know what they're doing. They don't know how to spend this money. Anybody disagrees with me, leave me a comment below. Let me know where I can find a better source that shows how they actually improve the economy by spending trillions of taxpayer dollars. Because I ain't seen it yet, brother. All right, it says here sought to draw attention to actions the Biden administration has taken to increase entrepreneurs' access to capital, lower housing costs, support historically black colleges and university. So HBCUs, you got to remember too, I mean, Trump was huge in supporting HBCUs, and they never played that up. They always played it down. They always threw it on the back burner. But a lot of people remember that. A lot of people remember that, and they see Biden and Kamala jumping on late in the game to this, where Trump was like headstrong on supporting HBCUs. Just kind of keep that in mind as a comparison between these two. Let's see, and lessen college debt during a moderated conversation and a stop at an Atlanta nonprofit. We know that home ownership is probably the most effective way to build intergenerational wealth, Harris declared during an on-stage discussion with the leaders of the Black Entrepreneur Network. Biden's support from black voters is experiencing significant attrition, in particular, much of it coming from black men. He trails presumptive GOP nominee, like I was saying earlier, he's sliding behind here. It says he trails presumptive GOP nominee and former President Donald Trump in a handful of battleground states, including Georgia. An April survey taken by Morning Consult showed him 8 points down in the swing state that he beat Trump in nearly 4 years ago. Georgia voters say the economy is their top concern in the 2024 presidential election, and just 29% say the economy is on the right track. I know it goes on. There's a point I wanted to get here. Here he is. Harris's job approval rating is also upside down with voters. She had a 52% disapproval rating nationally in a USA Today Suffolk University poll in March. A bare majority of black voters, 51%, approved in the same poll. Her overall support from voters was similar in Georgia in the Morning Consult survey taken in April, with 38% of the state's voters said they had favorable view of her, and 53% said they did not. This is one of the worst received vice presidents in history. And when she was a presidential candidate, she was so awful. She dropped out way early on with 0% of the vote. She was awful. Hashtag Tulsi Gabbard shut it down. It says her visit to Atlanta included a stop at the Russell Innovation Center for Entrepreneurs, where she spoke with black small business owners about increasing wealth in ways they are working to support one another. She toured the facility of Georgia's Senators Ralph Warnock and John Ossoff and Rep. Nikema Williams, who also acts as the state party chair. Vice President also sat down with Shrab Bilal and Troy Millings of the business and finance podcast Earn Your Leisure. In the discussion, Harris raised the issue of highways that cut through black communities, which she said the administration says it's working to reconnect. One such project in Atlanta is receiving $158 million from the Biden administration. It goes on and on about how they're going to spend more money. They're going to spend more money. They're going to spend more money. So I love that the Democrats, their solution is always, let's spend more money. Let's invest more money. Let's put more money over here. Let's spend more money. And they either don't know how to spend that money or get a return on that investment, or they just don't care. But their issue is, or their solution to an issue, rather, is there's a problem. Let's just throw more money at it. You know, you heard Nancy Pelosi. Well, we spent trillions of dollars, putting it back into the economy, putting our own tax dollars back into our own economy to help us. And it hasn't. Again, I mean, here we go giving trillions and billions to, foreign agencies and stuff. I mean, we just keep spending money, but problems keep going up, right? Let's see where we at. You know who else is delusional? The mainstream media itself. Let's take a look at a minute or so of this clip. I'm going to pull it up here. And we're going to break it apart a little bit. I may even look at the comments because it was kind of funny. Won't linger on this long, wrapping up this segment here. But this is from, you guessed it, one of our favorites, MSNBC. So listen to the spin on the economy and listen to how they say the economy's not as bad as you think it is. You just are listening to the wrong sources. Don't believe your lying eyes and ears, right? Check it out.
When it comes to the economy, despite a lot of good news, new polling shows that voters in crucial battleground states are now saying that things were better under Donald Trump than they currently are, and it's not even close. At the same time, a Koch-backed group is trying to get Latino voters to go Republican in November because of Biden's economic policies. The group.
So they're trying to word it like, all right, so a Koch group is trying to go after Latino voters. So notice how she kind of made it sound like, look at them. The right's trying to target Latinos. But like we just read, I mean, Kamala's going after black voters. Again, they target these demographic groups because, again, demographic groups are largely based off of different cultural groups within those. And those cultural groups have a kind of hive mind sometimes, right? You know, when you look at people of black skin, there's a good chance that most of them have very similar cultural backgrounds. Not necessarily true, but it's that cultural background that you're targeting. So, yes, when you look at a demographic, you can start to narrow down, right, that cultural background, that cultural impact, and what they're looking for in the economy or in their government or whatever. So it's a smart thing to do in that sense. But again, I hate, hey, let's help this community over here. Let's help this, instead of just saying, we're going to help everybody, including you guys. But I'll let her go on. But she kind of words it like it's a bad thing that the Republicans are targeting a demographic group. But, you know, they don't have a problem going after other folks themselves.
Is launching an ad campaign that says those policies are leading to, quote, to the demise of the American dream for immigrants. Meanwhile, Vice President Kamala Harris kicked off a multi-state economic opportunity tour to promote the administration's investments in local communities, and there are a lot of them. Here with me to discuss, MSNBC contributor Brian Tyler Cohen and Tim Miller, host of the Bulwark podcast and former communications director for Republican Jeb Bush. Brian, these polling numbers on the economy are not a surprise, right? The pollsters are saying, how do you feel? And people don't feel great because life's expensive. Your food's expensive. Your rent is expensive. Gas is.
All right, again, she's already teeing it up. This is all about feelings and emotions, which first of all, the left is all about feelings. The right tends to be more so about facts. I think it was Ben Shapiro. Remember, facts don't care about your feelings. So for them to try to flip the script is pretty funny. So, oh, you feel like the economy's rough. Oh, you feel like things are more expensive. All right, let's roll, chick.
Is now expensive, and that impacts people. But here's the thing. Donald Trump is offering a grand total of 0 economic policy solutions. And what President Biden is doing is an awful lot to help deal with the impact of inflation. So why are things where they are? What's your reaction?
Okay, so Trump is maybe offering 0 things because when he was the president, he didn't have to do anything. The economy was great. I mean, he did stuff, don't get me wrong. But it's all this stuff that Biden's trying to do that's making it worse. And when she says he's trying to do stuff, he's just spending more money of our taxpayer dollars instead of giving it back to us. I mean, just give it back to us and let us invest it or spend it however we want to, for crying out loud. You clearly don't know what you're doing. So, yeah, so criticism right off the bat. I love left-wing media because they are so bad at hiding their bias. I'm a right-leaning dude. You probably can already tell that. But I try to call it like it is. I try to be fair as I can. But I definitely have a right-leaning bias, no doubt about it. Let's see what this jackass says.
I think a big part of this is that half of the country gets their news from like a right-wing media machine that kind of exists solely to just tear Democrats down and lift Republicans up. And they.
All right, so he's on MSNBC saying this. All right, everything he's about to say, if you're aware, I don't know if woke is the right term in this regard, but if you're aware of how the mainstream media is, from your late night TV hosts to your basic cable programming to your news media to your social media to just everything. If you're aware of how all that runs, listen to the hypocrisy that comes out of this dude's mouth as he's on MSNBC, which is one of the absolute worst left-wing propagandist machines.
They do it in this kind of like alternate reality where crime is up, where the economy is down, where Democrats don't engage on the border, where women are getting post-birth abortions, where Donald Trump did nothing wrong. And so these people don't know the reality of the economy that Biden is presiding over, for example.
So you don't know if you watch Fox or One American News or I don't know Steven Crowder or me, for crying out loud, I guess, whatever. You don't know the economy's bad because we say it is, or you don't know the economy's good. You think the economy's bad because we tell you it's bad, but you don't understand that it's actually good because you're not hearing us say that it's good. What a jackass.
Where, to your earlier point, we do have 15 million jobs that have been added, where we have a record high stock market, the longest stretch of sub 4% unemployment in half a century, where you have the fastest recovery in the G7. So it's no surprise that half of our country is kind of sour on the state of the economy when they're being fed this alternate reality on a daily basis.
Yeah, we're definitely going to look at the comments, at least the top couple, because, yeah.
But Tim, even if you weren't being fed all that news, life is expensive, right? Inflation is what it is. It's significantly better here than it is in other parts of the world.
All right, so I'll stop him there. I'm not gonna keep wasting more time on this segment, but I do want to read a couple of the comments here. I paid $5.99 for a party-sized bag of potato chips and $4.89 for a 12-ounce bag of oyster crackers last week. Brandon's economy sucks. You guys are seeing this, right? Yeah. Look at the thumbnails in MSNBC trying to make Joe look like Jesus. We go to the prices in the grocery store, not alternate reality. This just shows how out of touch all are. You all are. The economy would have become annoying if the vegetable hadn't pursued bad energy policy on day one. Oh, man. And then you got people like, stop the corporate price gouging, which wasn't any gouging under Trump, apparently, because prices were low, gas prices were low. I filled up my car and my wife's the other day, and I was like, good Lord. Went to the grocery store the other day. I mean, I create a budget, and I'm like, this is what we're going to spend on groceries, and we go over it every week because all the stuff that we used to buy that fit within that budget now is outside of that budget. So I don't have to go to Fox. I don't have to go to CNN. I don't have to go to anyone else to tell me how to feel, to tell me what reality is. I'm aware enough and conscious enough to see it myself. Don't forget what's her name? Mika Brzezinski, I think's her name, over also on MSNBC, said their job as the media is.
The dangerous, edges here are that he's trying to undermine the media, trying to make up his own facts, and it could be that while unemployment and the economy worsens, he could have undermined the messaging so much that he can actually control exactly what people think, and that is our job. Yeah, that is our job. That is our job. That is your job.
Mainstream media's job to tell you how to feel, how to think, how to behave. Don't apply that to COVID or anything else. Heaven forbid. You start thinking, did I really feel like this? Did I really believe that? We still got people out there wearing masks. Why? My opinion is they've been duped. But hey, all this points out is that they don't want you to trust your lying eyes and ears. Trust the mainstream media because they won't lie to you.
Hey guys, thanks for checking out this clip from the Morning Mayhem. Remember, this is just a portion of the full show that comes out every Friday morning at 10 a.m. Eastern Time. If you hadn't already, don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss out on any of the full shows or these tasty little nuggets.